Hello, I'm Vaishali Kohli and you're watching Newsx. Now, let's begin with the top story of the day. Now, in response to comments on India's energy sourcing, official spokesperson Shri Randhir Jaiswal has made a statement. India is a significant importer of oil and gas. It has been our consistent priority to safeguard the interests of the Indian consumer in a volatile energy scenario. They stated, and I quote, "Our import policies are guided entirely by this objective." They also went on to state that where the US is concerned, we have for many years sought to expand our energy procurement. This has steadily progressed in the last decade. The current administration has shown interest in deepening energy cooperation with India. Discussions are ongoing. I have our guest with me, Major General Sudhakar ji, who's a senior geopolitical and strategic defense expert. Now, Major General, what can you tell us? What are your comments on this?
Well, Vaishali, good morning. Thank you for getting me for your back-to-back show. I personally feel these are all gimmicks and rhetorics. India should not come under pressure. India has laid out the foreign policy and the national interest and the interest of the people of India has to be safeguarded. And so far, people may be under the impression that we are not buying any oil from USA. That is wrong. Our total import percentage is around 87.7 or 88% of our fossil fuel we are importing from overseas. And that includes 7% of the import from USA. Now, USA has been demanding that we should stop importing oil from Russia. Just for reminding our viewers, India had started importing oil from Russia at the behest of America. It is USA only who had urged India to go in to buy oil from Russia so as to stabilize the international market or the oil market. So while on one hand we have done that, also we cannot compromise certain things which are in the economic interest of the country. So while there is a little scope, there is a potential for considering all multiple options available. To me, the option one is you totally refuse to America's request. Number two, you accept partially and do not accept partially. And number three is that you completely accept America and you junk the Russian offer or the oil that we are buying now. So out of all this, I think the middle path is always better in order to have pragmatism in our trade deal as also relationship with America. That's what I feel. But to say that we are going to stop buying oil altogether from Russia at the cost of our national economic interest will be an incorrect step to be taken at the highest level, at the strategic level. Back to Vishali.
Major General, we were speaking earlier as well. Now, how do you think Russia will see something like this? Isn't it going to be bad blood between the two countries, India and Russia, if India pulls back?
I don't think there is any country in the world which will understand what India is going through better than Russia. So Russia understands what India is going through. These are all strategic compulsions, and there are no permanent solution to all these. Russia also knows that India, the consumption rate of energy or the fossil fuel is rising at the rate of 8% per annum. And when it is rising at the 8% per annum, let's say it was 87.7% so far, and if you factor in the growth rate of energy consumption in the country, perhaps these kind of factors may be attributed and can be related to procurement of oil from America. That is one. Second thing is, Russia is an evergreen friend of India. It is a strategic, special partnership, strategic partner that we enjoy with Russia. Russia knows that India is being made to go do things under duress, and India is not going to buckle under pressure. We are going to be very, very critical, as a diplomatic response has been given by our spokesperson of the MEA. and will remain absolutely objective and pragmatic, keeping in view the national economic interest of India. Nothing is going to be compromised. That much is well known to Russia. Even if we increase a little bit percentage of
Certainly,
buying of oil from America.
That's a very, very interesting point you've made, Major General, because Russia, of course, like you're saying, will understand that India is certainly in some kind of pressure. I do have Mr. Arvind Tejawat, who's a foreign affairs expert, joining me. Mr. Tejawat, India is certainly under some kind of pressure. What more would you like to elaborate?
right, Vaishali ji. I was a little bit amazed to read today morning when I was reading some of the newspapers being published from the Washington, New York, and some other cities. So I was a bit amazed that a person holding a very responsible position like a president of United States and making such a willy-nilly statement. I was a little bit amazed, and I was sure that the Ministry of External Affairs will definitely react on it. And it's really a matter of satisfaction that now the leadership is not the earlier leadership, and the present leadership of India can take a strong and a very confirm, the confirm, what it's called, I'm sorry, the word is going to be stuck out of the mind, but India has taken the stand. And then after, I suppose the India is having a roadmap. The India really sacrificed the India's energy security without doing any deal with the Iran. The India was having a great interest, but due to the American pressure in a Manmohan Singh Sahab's regime, the India really sacrificed a lot for the United States. But in turn, the United States is pressurizing one by one, trying to react that the India is a slave of the United States. So this is not supposed to be done by a person who is holding a very responsible position like President of United States of America. And India really reacted in a right manner. India is having a greater hope. India will have a good relationship with the Taliban. Then India is having a scope in the Middle Asia. So I suppose that India should not tolerate any pressure from the United States and should follow the policy, a free strategy policy. And I suppose that is suits with the Indian image in all over the world. Thank you, Vaishali ji.
I'd request both our guests to stay on with us. Now, viewers, President Trump said he was considering expanding his military operations in the Caribbean to include ground strikes in Venezuela, which would be a significant escalation of the campaign that has so far targeted vessels at sea. The Trump administration has said without evidence that those strikes had hit boats transporting drugs for cartels. He stated, and I quote, "We're certainly looking at land now because we've got the sea very well under control," Mr. Trump said in an appearance with Attorney General Pam Bondi and the FBI Director Kash Patel that the deployment of federal law enforcement officers and the National Guard to U.S. cities was just at the start. He said he wanted his administration to start looking at San Francisco, adding that federal officers would also go into other cities that we're not talking about purposely. I have my colleague Aditya Vadhavan joining me with more details. Aditya, over to you.
Well, absolutely, Vaishali. At this juncture, US and Venezuela are embroiled in a conflict. And, as per some reports, President Trump is reportedly planning to strike the, drug cartels that are operating out of Venezuela. And yesterday, a video also purportedly was going viral on the social media that, the Venezuela had scrambled its F-16s in response to the US B-52 bombers, that were flying over its airspace. So at this juncture, indeed, both the countries, US and Venezuela, are embroiled in a conflict. And he has been saying that Maduro, he has been charged of, corruption also in Venezuela. And at this juncture, Trump is planning to definitely dismantle the corrupt political, that is the political party that is in power in Venezuela, and there have been allegations that the drug cartels operate freely from Venezuela. Yes, Vaishali.
I have our guest back with me, Major General Sudhakar ji. Now, a new development. President Trump is saying that he's considering expanding his military operations in the Caribbean. Your comments, sir?
I would say Donald Trump is doing everything to leading America to a status of self-destruction, because he's opened up almost all fronts, and whatever little fronts are there left for dialogue and diplomacy are also being taken recourse to kinetic method of, coercion, putting pressure by military means and other things, so as to ultimate aim is change of regime. In 21st century, the regime change will not take place. Maduro will continue. These are my predictions. I may be wrong, but as a student of geopolitics, I have also been joining dots. It's very, very difficult. While you and me are discussing on the channel, little is known that Maduro will not open his mouth, will not show his eyes and teeth unless there is somebody backing him. Who's backing him? China. Who else? Russian missiles are already deployed. They're there in Venezuela. And the company which Chevron, which was looking after in conjunction with the state-owned company of Venezuela, is being told that you climb the nearest tree. So they're finding it very difficult. Why Donald Trump is becoming so jiffy is that it is too close to America. It is something like what Sri Lanka to India. It's like a backyard. And the same Venezuela at one point in time in Cold War 1.0 used to be under the influence, geopolitical influence of America. And now it has gone to China. The second thing that is important, Donald Trump may be taking recourse to expressions like drug cartel. He has already knocked off, I think, more than 2 boats with some people of Venezuela. The people of Venezuela, they have found some ground to galvanize, to unite against the United States of America. And third and most important thing, although the economy of Venezuela is in a mess because of the freebies which are being given, too much of welfare kind of economy which is taking place, the inflation is high, and the market seems to be going down, not in favor of the growth story of Venezuela. Under these circumstances, carrying out a regime change is appearing to be a tall order, and Maduro, is actually not showing eyes and teeth. He's got the popularity of his people. He's supported, although the Nobel Peace Prize has been given to his opponent. Yet there is a kind of a glue which is keeping the entire nation state of Venezuela together. So therefore, Donald Trump would do well not to take recourse to these kind of means, because it is ultimately going to be detrimental. There are missiles such as, hypersonic missiles of Russia, which are called as Onisik. Onisik, it travels at a speed of 11 Mach. That is, 1 Mach is more than the speed of the sound. So Mach, it goes into certain portion of flank, a southern flank of USA, which as of today is been left blank. They do not have suitable and adequate surveillance and air defense cover. They keep talking about Golden Dome and something like Iron Dome. They do not have the anti-ballistic missiles which are under the scheme and orientation towards north and northeast, facing towards Russia. They do not have their rear or the backyard covered by any means. So therefore, it is very, very dangerous. In a way, I see these kind of military activities are keeping his southern flank under domination and surveillance, so that USA at no point in time is surprised by any forces inimical to him, whether it is Venezuela or the sponsoring states of China and Russia. Back to you, Vaishali.
That's a very interesting perspective from you, Major General. And now I want to move to Mr. Arvind, who is our foreign affairs expert. So now Trump may claim something, but what do you think is the real reason behind this move?
I remember long back, I suppose a decade back, I met Hugo Chavez. He was visiting genuine at that moment. And not only the Venezuela, but the whole Latin American countries, they are not liking the American policies, because due to the Americans, the Latin American countries are not able enough to extend and to build a good relationship with the countries of the rest of the world. So I think whatever the Donald Trump is doing there in Ukraine, so it's an obvious reaction from the Russia side. And I believe that the Cold War is still going on. It's not an end. What the people who declared that the Cold War has been ended in the 90s decade, but it's still going on, and the clashes of interest is over there. So I suppose whatever the Venezuela and the Venezuelan government and the general opinion over there is not in favor of United States and the United States policies. So I suppose the alternative is also there, and definitely the Russia is looking for building a good relationship. We remember the Russia and Cuba's relationship during the Cold War. So I suppose that probably the President Putin is willing to follow the same policy what the Soviet Union was following earlier. And I suppose if the United States and the Latin American countries are being engaged in any way by the clashes, then I suppose that China will have a great opportunity to grow up, because in that case, the China will divert the attention of United States and will have time to grow up and to stay away from the United States for its own development. Vaishali ji, over to you.
I just request both our guests to stay on with us. Now, viewers, there's another shocker coming from